persists, and it's just this way at the Dim Carnival. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dim Carnival. I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Ryan.
And this week we're talking about Mutant, Volume 2, namely the 6th through 10th tracks of Mutant by Twisted, which came out in 2005. And, well, what we didn't count on when we assigned these tracks is that two of the tracks wouldn't be songs. So it's going to be a little bit of a short episode because two of the tracks are less than a minute long. But maybe, you know what? Maybe friends will surprise me and they'll have a lot to say about the first track we're talking about this week is Fuck You Part 2, which, if you haven't taken a listen, go ahead and take a listen right now. So, true to form, following on the heels of Fuck You Part 1, which was on Man's Myth, Volume 1. Man's Myth, Volume 1. This is the exact same track as Fuck You Part 1, which was track 10 off of Man's Myth, except this is the rock version, because this is Mutant, Volume 2. And it's the rock Twisted album. But yeah, it's the same song, just the same vocal tracks, but they put it on a rock song instead of a rap song. And you know what? I didn't like that one. I don't like this one.
It's bad.
It's not. So I'll probably revisit this album again. I'm gonna skip this track. I'm gonna skip tracks 6 and 7 every time, every single time. Yeah. I mean, what I will say about Fuck You Part 2 is that it really puts Fuck You Part 1 in for me, and Fuck You Part 1 is fine now. Retroactively, after seeing what they're capable of doing with this track.
The thing is that, Steve, we texted in the back room, in the green room of Dim Carnival Studios. We were texting about this, and Steve had some thoughts that I hope he shares. But I feel like what my big problem with this song is that to me, it's like really poorly made. Like, the music is extremely muddied to me. I can barely hear or discern a melody. I can hear crunching guitars. To me, it sounds like there's guitars balanced to the left, and a guitar to the left and a guitar to the right. And it sounds like to me that they are doing different stroke patterns, like different palm mute parts. And that is extremely.
Well, let's hang off on stroke patterns till we get to fantasy, right?
Is that what you would call that?
Yeah, strumming patterns.
Strumming patterns, stroking patterns.
Stroking.
Oh wait, that's later. That's a couple of tracks later. It just makes it really, really difficult to listen to. And what it makes me think of is like,
awful.
It sounds like the first time they're playing this song. It's.
We'll fix it later. We'll come back and we'll fix it.
Fix it in post.
Yeah, it's a scratch track. But so, like, the one thing I will say about this track, other than it puts the first one in perspective, is like this really solidifies like Mutant is the evolution of Man's Myth. Like that was Twisted from a month ago. This is where Twisted now.
The last note that I wrote is that they should have used the music from Get Off of Me.
You're still listening to last month's Twisted? Fucking get with the times, old man. Sorry, I stepped all over you. What were you saying, right?
Yeah, I said that they should have used the music from Get Off of Me for this instead.
Sure. The music. They should have used music.
Do you guys think that that's Fritz the cat that's screaming?
Yeah, I mean, who cares? I mean, it does sound like a cat screaming.
It doesn't sound like either Jamie or Paul to me.
I just figured it was one of them, and it was just like really mutated.
Well, because we know that when Jamie or Paul screams, what it sounds like is twisted. Twisted. That's what.
So you guys are very mean.
Oh, this is Steve's track of the week.
Yeah. I don't know. It might be.
Well, there's a sex song, so I mean, we know it's not that one.
So I was telling Ryan that I thought this sounded like it was made by the band Earth Crisis, and they just put Twisted's vocals over Earth Crisis song. And
scoffed at the notion that there were live performers.
Yeah, I don't care. I stand by my statement.
I think that I can hear exactly what you're saying, Steve.
Yeah, no, I get it. I totally get it.
What I really like about this song, to be perfectly honest, because I know it's bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not stupid. It reminds me of a Christian rap group. I think I brought them up before, called 12th Tribe. And
12th Tribe or 12th Tribe?
I believe
or
so.
12 Tribes.
12th Tribe?
Keep talking.
And they've been around a long time, and so they did some music. They had an album that came out in like 94, something like that, 93, 94. And they're two, like cholo guys from LA, and they rap a lot about living in, like the barrio but they're, but it's Christian rap. And so they're like out of gang, but they also were friends with some people from metal bands, Christian metal bands.
Mm-hmm.
And so on some of their on that one album that I'm thinking of, I can't think the name of that particular album right now, they did something very similar to this. Well, it seems similar to me, but instead of it being like this, to me, this Fuck You sounds like a hardcore song. And this one, they took a speed metal, like a thrash metal song, and then just put their rap lyrics really fast over. It sounds awful. It's like it does not work well, but I recognize the music from another Christian song, thrash metal song, and I always thought that was funny, and it made me like it more. And so that's why I like this particular song, because it just makes me think of that whole silliness from that Christian band in the early 90s.
Yeah. So you're correct. There was a Christian rap group called 12th Tribe. Why I was confused is because when I saw Zayo on the Ferret Music tour, there was a metalcore group that was one of the opening bands called 12 Tribes, and I had their hoodie for a long time. So what's funny is like they signed to Ferret Music and changed their name to Prodigal Zoo, and then 2 months later changed their name back to 12 Tribes. But yeah, no, that's I mean, like we've talked about last week, this album is dripping with Christian rap rock vibes. Just like at this point in the Psychopathic Records discography, we're talking about 2005. By that point, we'd had years of like ICP's a secret Christian band jokes, and at this point, like 2020, like ICP as a Christian band is a well-worn like trope or meme, but like this album is like the closest we've really gotten to like sounding like these two albums are the closest we've gotten to like just this album to sounding like 2000s Christian rap rock. They finally made it happen. They fulfilled their own prophecy. That's all.
Not one of my top favorite genres.
It's just a tiny bit worse than Christian ska.
Yeah. Well, only because there are like 2 or 3 really good Christian ska bands. But like the majority of Christian ska is like completely unlistenable. Kind of like the majority of Christian rap rock. All right. Well, it comes full circle. Shall we move on to the next track?
Please.
All right. Well, the next track isn't a song. It's called Jenny's Fat Bitch, and if you haven't listened to it, I guess you can listen to it.
Trust me, girl, every time the tea comes to Anaconda, Montana, they be hooking up with a bitch, alright? Last time I was on the tour bus, they treated me like straight up lunch meat and a twisted sandwich. I never had my box rock like that before, but let me tell you something.
It's a skit. It's the triumphant return of Jenny from Mansmith Volume 1, who drugged and raped Lavelle, and now is trying to get into a club. Wait, but isn't her? It's her friend who's fat?
Well, I think they both are.
Oh.
They don't really say. Well, the other friend says, I don't know who he's calling fat.
She's eating the whole time, right? Isn't she eating the whole time in this skit?
In this skit?
No? Oh. Sorry, I thought
I don't think so. I think that's
misremembering.
I think that's just her voice.
Oh. Cool.
I think
so someone's trying to get into the club to have sex with the Twisteds.
In the bus. It's trying to get in the bus. Well, because she says every time Twisted comes through town, she fucks him. So she is going to go fuck him, and she's bringing her friend along. But it just doesn't go the way she expects.
Oh, I know all these people.
What? But, so Tristan must not have been smoking weed that night, because otherwise they'd be looking to suck on some average-ass titties before their nuts explode.
Well, that's an interesting segue, Bill.
Yeah. Is it? Oh,
I think so.
All right, well, then let's talk about the music track, which is Fantasy. If you haven't taken a listen to Fantasy, go ahead and take a listen right now.
Maybe it's because I got some cute ass nuts that make the chickens want to get me and just gobble them up. It could even be my super long.
Guys, is Steve's favorite a sex song about doing it.
Well, I think I recall Steve saying that he actually liked the sex songs on these two albums.
I think just on Mansmith, but let's hear it from Steve himself.
I don't hate the sex song the way I hate a lot of other sex songs. It's not the worst sex song. It's not super graphic either. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like how some of them are. I am like confused on some of the things that they say.
Like how fucking with me is like fucking with a Ginsu.
Yeah. And like thug bitches that just want to make love. He doesn't want those people. And then he like says something about, where is it? Yeah, just right after that he says, or maybe you're just too confused and maybe you've been abused, but who am I to critique the dude you let up in you? Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, if they were abused, they didn't let them go up in there.
No. I think those are two different things.
I'm sure it is, but they just are so back to back, and the way it flows, it just like it all runs together. And oddly enough, I mean, because I had two takes on that where I'm like, wow, that could be really taken out of context and sound bad, but also like it's also interesting for him to say like admitting that like someone being abused can mess up their sex life, and also admitting that he can't really judge someone for the people they chose to have sex with, and that's not something that's common in these sex songs.
This is their first sex song that is not braggadocious. It's like well, I mean, it is in a sense, but it's braggadocious in the sense of like they explicitly say like, look, we fucking suck, you suck, but you want to have sex with me, so I guess maybe. Like, it's kind of like an incel anthem in some ways.
I don't know. I think it's like, to me, I think it's a little more sinister because they're saying you wouldn't fuck me if I was working, flipping fries.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
You do want to fuck me. You say I'm your fantasy or whatever. So let's see how far you'll take it. Like,
okay.
I'm going to fuck you. Of course I'm going to fuck you.
Right. Yeah.
But then I'm going to make fun of you for it because you didn't get what you wanted, right?
Yeah. So my favorite part of the song is it's accidentally inclusive at the end of the first verse where he specifically he says, you say you rub your soft spot when you're thinking of me, add 2 more fingers and go deeper into your fantasy. That could be anybody. Soft spot. We all got those. 'Cause usually they're much more graphic. I mean, saying add 2 more fingers is pretty graphic, but like soft spot? Come on.
That could be a beehole.
That's me. I'll do it. I'll do whatever you say, Jamie. But I think so. I think this is also the first time like they explicitly say that they like toys and comics.
I was just gonna say he says he identifies himself as crazy because he likes comic book toys and freaky ladies. But that is very normal.
So like the most basic.
I mean, that's just what like guys are like now, you know? They all like toys and shit.
Yeah. Also, we now know canonically, Madrox's got a pretty dick.
That's what he hears.
And kid tits.
Listen, a lot of people have been talking. They say I have a pretty dick. Look, we're hearing it more and more all the time.
Okay.
We love a pretty dick, don't we, folks?
I actually had someone come up to me and
Tell you
he
had
was
a pretty
crying.
dick?
He had tears coming out of his. I can't believe you've got the prettiest dick.
I will never be able to hear this. Well, so Brian Cage is a pro wrestler, and he's married to he wasn't married at the time, but now he's married to the former ring announcer from Lucha Underground. But Brian Cage wrestles in AEW. Brian Cage was notable for the past like 7 years on the indies for being like the most fucking unbelievably yoked dude on the indie scene, because like the indies don't test for steroids, and like when he wasn't wrestling he was training for bodybuilding competitions, so like he was like very like publicly on the gas, like to an extreme extent. But he also did like a bunch of like he does like high flying, so he's like this giant fucking yoked dude who does like shooting star presses and moonsaults and dives and shit. So but he was known for like being so jacked, and like there was a point a couple years ago where someone on Twitter was like, yeah, like Brian Cage, like he does so many steroids, he's got like a tiny little penis and his balls are all shriveled up. And Brian Cage like started calling the dude out, and then like his wife was like, I'll have you know that Brian has the yummiest penis. And Brian Cage was like, thanks, babe.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell him about my yummy dick.
Okay, but Jamie Madrox heard that he had a pretty dick, but Monoxide Child knows that he has some cute ass nuts.
Cute ass, just gobble them up.
So
right. Yeah.
So Jamie, I think, is a little bit more graphic on the graphic end, talking about his chubby thickness getting deep throated. But I feel like Monoxide.
If it doesn't reach the throat, does that count?
I feel like Monoxide does a little funny play on words at one line sure. When he says his super long run of bad luck.
Mm.
He also mentions Feenan, which has got to be a Jodeci reference, which I got to appreciate that.
Steve, I want to hear your thoughts, and then I have like a very like extensive thought about the song.
I think I already gave my thought.
Okay. I hate it. All right. So the hook / chorus on this song is so fucking such a Psychopathic Records chanty. It's the most cookie cutter Psychopathic Records Insane Clown Posse chorus that we've heard so far on this album. It's just them chanting like, you tub, you rub, you touch, thinking of me, you want it, then just let it be. Like it's atonal, it's monotonous, it's just them chanting, and like 3 or 4 tracks of them all chanting the same thing. And it's so reminiscent of ICP choruses, of so many Psychopathic Records choruses. Like the one ICP song it reminds me the most of is Bugs on My Nugs. It reminds me so much of that. And it just like and like this is something I harped on dozens of times through the recording of the podcast, is like these chanting choruses. And like sometimes on an ICP song, like there's a lot of ICP songs that are classic ICP songs where the chanting chorus is like part of it, it's part of ICP's sound. But I think like at this point in 2005, the reason they would keep going back to these chanting choruses is because like rap songs that are not on Psychopathic Records, not horrorcore rap songs will either like get an actual hook, like get an actual singer, get Nate Dogg in there, get a sample of Shaka Khan and pitch shift it. Like their rap hooks outside of this genre that we've been listening to, rap hooks are always the most melodic thing about a song. They're a hook, a sample. They're a musician or a singer that they've brought in to be melodic, to be the hook, to bring you into the song. And there's so much of Psychopathic and so much of ICP where the hook is just like the absolute least melodic part of the song. And it really bothers me sometimes. And it especially bothers me on this album where it's their rap rock album. And, you know, we talked about last week, I talked extensively about, you know, I listened to these songs so much that they grew on me. And there's a couple of the rap tracks so far that I think are actually really good. Like they're actually, Twisted's actually singing their choruses. And to get to track 8 on this track and all of a sudden have like this super duper chanty, sing-song, amateurish, juvenile chorus is like, it's getting like, to me, especially like when it's not ICP, when it's someone else in Psychopathic, to me at this point, like in 2005, getting to a chorus on, especially on an album where you're singing other choruses, like the chanting chorus, like there's no more room for this for me. Like you shouldn't be doing this. You should try a little bit harder. It's getting to the point where it's starting to bother me that like this is a signature part of their sound is like this atonal monotonous chant as a hook or a chorus as opposed to like actually having a hook. Or maybe I'm just getting too far up my own ass about these songs.
I mean, everything that you said sounded good. I mean, sounded sound to me. I'm not saying that you're right, you know, or whatever. But I think, you know, you have a right to feel that way. Like, I think it's a sound position, you know, it's a reasonable position.
But I mean, am I off base and like,
no, I don't.
In like, no, am I off base in saying like most rap doesn't do this, but Psychopathic Records does this almost exclusively?
You are correct.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. And it's not like I listen to a ton of other rap music. Yes, you are absolutely right.
I just think that's a really weird departure to like build an entire like labels sound around. Like to have like everyone be like so intensely care about rap and hip hop and then to not embrace like the hook aspect of it. Maybe it's just because they don't have access or means to emulate that.
I've thought about this a lot because, I mean, like you said, we've talked so many times about how much a chorus sucks on a song that we really like. Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of like par for the course on almost everything we cover. And there's so many things they're brilliant on. And I don't know if it's just they can't be bothered because it kind of is the hardest part where you got great verses. They've spent a lot of time writing great verses, especially if you're looking at ICP. They're making a comprehensive 30-year-long story. You know what I mean? And making things canon and it being pretty on par. Like it doesn't deviate too much. And very creative art, like imagery, you know, great videos. And I don't know if like they just have the energy or the care to get that last part, like the the chorus. It might cost too much money to like they don't want to sink the money in to get hooks that, you know, taking Shaka Khan and, you know, pitch toning it or whatever you were saying. And like, I don't know. Like I just always
while I'm talking about, like, I'm trying to think of like, you know, like I was like, let me see if I can think of an ICP hook. And like, yeah, Riddlebox, Headless Boogie. That hook fucking slaps. Are you kidding me? That's such a good hook. And it's like, that's
rare.
That's the third Joker's card. But I'm saying like third Joker's card, it's there. Like they had the capability. And maybe it is what you're saying. Like, we put a lot of work into the album, like the album as an album, and like we don't have time to give every track a great hook. So we'll do the hooks we can do, and then the rest we'll just chant. I don't know.
You know what? I just clicked in my head. Maybe they think they are making great hooks, and we're just assholes.
Yeah. Well, I
mean,
know I'm
right.
an asshole.
I mean, we're right, but
something to think. I mean, like if anyone out there has any insights or wants to tell me I'm just being an elitist asshole, that's fine. Email us at timcarnival@gmail.com. Let me know. Really let me have it, guys. Really tear into me. Any final tracks about fantasy before we move on?
I want to know if this is a question I have about every sex song is, why do they make this? Does this song help them get laid?
I mean, it must, or they wouldn't keep doing it.
That's what I wrote. Does this work? It must work.
It has to work.
How could this work?
I think that every time they do a tour, I think they feel like, and I mean, up to 2005, I don't know if they got still a sex song on each of their new albums, probably, but like at this point, they were probably like, look, we got to have a new sex song to sing when we go on tour, because then they're going to want to know that we got dicks and we want to put them in places.
People forget that we have dicks. We got to remind them
about the pretty dick and the good nuts.
No, I feel like the sex songs are pretty common trope in a lot of rap music, isn't it?
Sure. But ICP doesn't do it on every album like Twisted does. Twisted makes a point to be like, look. Well, the ICP sex songs are generally like jokes. Like when there's an ICP sex song, it's either like weird or creepy or scary or horrifying, or it's funny. The Twisted sex songs are like, look, like maybe there's going to be some jokes in here, but make no mistake, this is a song about me, Jamie Spaniolo, and him, Paul Metherick, and how we got hard dicks and we want to do sex to them.
Well, let's not forget that prior to Jamie Madrox, he was known as Mr. Bones.
Mr. Bones. I take it to the Mr. Bones.
He's a horny guy.
He is. I think that's the difference, though. Is like, yeah, ICP has plenty of sex songs, but it's Violent J and Shaggy two characters, and Twisted is, hello, we'd like to take time out of this album to let you know that we need to do sex, and here are the ways in which we would prefer to do it. See us after the show.
We'll be at the merch table. I mean, if you have the microphone,
somebody better touch my butt.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't.
Oh yeah, you aim at where the nut's going. Should we move on?
Please.
I wish. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about Who Am I? And it's track 9. If you haven't taken a listen, go take a listen right now.
All you need, a chance to sink to life while taking a break from your reality. Why would you dare to try when you become
Well, Steve, you said ugh before we dove in. So why don't you start us off?
I hate. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know. I could just like picture like Ace Ventura making a dumb face and bobbing his head to this song.
Absolutely.
And then turning around and like making his butthole talk.
Mm.
You know, I did that thing.
Yeah, no, I'm quite famous.
Do you remember that, Bill?
That was awesome. Remember when you said you can't only get the love you take by the love that you make?
Remember when he got a violent blowjob and he had to hang on to the door jamb? Getting his dick ripped off by the force of the sucking.
Guys, there's a horn section in this song.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, Steve.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a good song. I don't like it.
Let's hear from Ryan.
I didn't. Last week, Bill, you said you listened to those tracks a lot of times, like 10 or 12 times, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to these tracks, and last week as well.
Once.
No, like 10, 12 times. I swear to God, I listened to these tracks 3 times, maybe 4 times all the way through before I could even write a single note, before I could even take a single word down.
Look, I'm not going to front and say that these 5 tracks are not much slighter than the first 5 tracks.
So this is what I have only 4 things that I wrote here. No is the first thing that I wrote. No.
Okay, yeah.
Some 90s rock in 2005? Question mark? I just hate this is the next note. And then there's a horn section with a frowny face.
Yeah.
It's actually a keyboard horn, I believe. Keyboard horns, but it's just real bad.
Now, I will say, I listened to these 5 tracks at least as many times as I listened to the first 5. Well, that's not true because I skipped tracks 6 and 7 every time after the first couple times. But I listened to Fantasy, Who Am I, and Truth Will Set You Free. Especially Who Am I and Truth Will Set You Free. I listened to them at least as many times as I listened to the first 5 tracks on the album. So I've listened to them a bunch at this point. Now, what I will say about Who Am I is Steve was right on the money because to me this sounds like either Austin Powers Band or the Archies. It sounds like a song that the Archies would sing. But here's what I'm gonna say. And my take on this song differs slightly from your guys' take on this song because what I'm going to say about this song is that this is my favorite song on the album so far.
I hate you so much.
Now, here's what I have to say about this song is that I fucking love it. And it might be my favorite Twisted song. I want to say, I just want to comment that the fuzz bass line fucking shreds, the chorus whips ass, and that the jangly guitars after the chorus are the shit. I also want to talk about how in the last verse, Monoxide's voice gets real high, and he comes real close to just absolutely fucking borking it, but he manages to hold it together, and I want to know how many takes it took. But his voice gets way up there, and he comes. He's fucking riding the razor's edge, guys, and it is edgy your seat. It's like, is he gonna stick it? Is he gonna hit these notes? Fucking notes, guys. He barely hits them. He hits them by the skin of his teeth. He technically hits all these notes, and it's great. But. So this song, like I said, sounds like an Archie song, and maybe that's why I like it so much. It sounds like fucking Twisted is in the Dragula next to Rob Zombie, and they're fucking going to solve a mystery, and this is the road song. And guys, I love this song. I love it. I love it very much, and I want it. I'm gonna keep the song with me and cherish it forever. This is a great song, and I like this song so much that I went to YouTube to see if they have performed it live because I was like, I want to see this fucking song live. I want to see this goddamn banger, and I want to see people jumping up and down. And I do not believe they've ever played it live. But what I did find when I went up to look it up is that there was as we alluded to last week, in 2016 they remixed and remastered this entire album. And put it out. And so there's a remixed and remastered version of Who Am I? And they made it sound nothing like this. It doesn't sound like a rock song at all, basically. It's much more chill. It's much more hip hop. I do not like it as much. But perhaps the two of you will enjoy it. So go seek that out.
Well, Bill, I loved listening to you say all of that. I'm so glad for you, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you hated both of the rock songs I liked on this album, so that's fine. We're all different people.
Ugh.
I will give this song credit.
You know what, Ryan? I would say that you're hollow like a well with no water, and everyone's thirsty. Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
I was gonna say, I was gonna give that song credit that I actually liked the lyrics of the song.
Yeah. It's a good song.
No, it's not. But the lyrics were nice.
Guys, listen to this track one more time. And listen to that fucking filthy, fuzzy bass and the bass line is fucking whipping ass. It's just going for.
I mean, I'm
Reggie,
gonna
Reggie Mantle on the bass guitar, while Veronica Lodge is tickling the ivory. That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, when we're done recording, I'll go listen to it again with this newfound appreciation.
I thought you were going to tell me it's the notes they weren't playing that I should have been listening for.
Oh, that's true. You should dance like nobody's watching.
Well, you said Austin Powers, and to me, it sounds like a '60s rock song, but
Yeah.
it's clearly like a '90s retro '60s song, in my opinion.
It's the midpoint between the Austin Powers band that they had for the first Austin Powers movie and Rob Zombie. Or, sorry, White Zombie.
But instead of in a Dragula, it's Speed Buggy. It's
Yeah, it's like Thunder Kiss 65. That's the name of that song, right? 1965, yeah. Wow. That one.
Oh, yeah. I only listen to Dragula.
Yeah, no, burn through the witches and blast through the ditches and burn in the seat of my Dracula. See, the car is a Dracula. All right. Moving on to the last track this week.
Set us free, Bill.
This track is The Truth Will Set You Free. And if you haven't taken a listen, take a listen right now.
Mixed with the madness, all traps and no cheese create sadness, and if this is life, am I living in a maze? Feeling like Jimi Hendrix, always seeing purple haze. But what a beautiful color for such a delusion. Government trying to clone suckers with self-fusion.
All right, so what is very funny to me, and it's probably just because of when we're listening to these tracks, because we're listening to them around the time of the election, but I think it's very funny that Stardust is a fraud / grift song, and then this song is about not believing what the fake news media tells you.
Yep.
So this is their MAGA album.
When after listening to all these tracks and finally getting to this one, I couldn't be bothered to pick apart what the song was about. I just wanted to listen to a rap song and listen to the music and be comforted that I felt like I was listening to a Twisted album, that I was in a safe space. And so it was like 3 or 4 listens through before I actually listened to the words and was horrified that it was a conspiracy theory, like anti-media. Yeah.
This is the biggest carryover from Mansmith. Like this is the first time on this album where it's like this album has anything at all to do with that album, and keeps the myth alive that these are concept album or one concept album. Also, guys, La Cosa Nostra.
I will say that it's a super fun track to listen to, and if you disregard whatever message they're trying to send and just listen to it, like the words they say and everything, it's rad.
You
This
know,
is a really good song.
Yeah,
it's a really good song. And back when this came out, I was still in conspiracy theory mode because that's how I was raised, and I had to deprogram myself from like my brain from making connections that way. It took me a really long time. I think I explained that before, and I just went from like extreme Christian right-wing conspiracy theories to extreme left-wing conspiracy theories, which is, so I didn't really do myself any favors. And so when this was out and I was listening to it, I wasn't like all, yeah, don't trust the government. Yeah. I mean, I was in a little bit of a way because it was George Bush. I was like, yeah, fuck George Bush. But, and I was actually I was actually all, yeah, George Bush did 9/11 and stuff like that. But also, I don't know, like, I guess we probably talked about this, maybe with Man Smith, like conspiracy theories and the idea, like the media is always selling you something, so you can't really trust what they're telling you. Like, I mean, that wasn't a bad thing. I mean, it is true that the media is selling us something.
for sure, definitely.
But, so I never really, it's only been in the last 4 years, in 2016 and in 2017 when Q and stuff like started getting prominent, where like conspiracy theories really, really started to become dangerous to overall society. And that like the media is our enemy like becomes like a dangerous trope when you realize that they're saying that because they just don't like what's being reported, as opposed to like having any valid evidence that what the media is reporting is wrong or a lie. So when I hear these songs, I don't think MAGA, like I don't think it's the same message. It's unfortunate, like it didn't age well, I guess is what you could say.
No, yeah, we're looking at it through that lens, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we are right now, he's talking about what we're experiencing, which is the fallout, the repercussions, the consequences of having a capitalist-driven media wing of the government,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we're living through. But so it's shitty to look back at this and think that they could be flippant about it or whatever.
But back then when they were saying, like we shouldn't be trusting some of what the media said, was because they were saying we should go to war with Iraq because of weapons of mass destruction, and it wasn't true. That was a narrative that the media did help push that wasn't true.
Definitely.
Anyways, I like this song. It's a good song. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
Even if you're not picking apart the lyrics. I actually like the part where they talk about when they meditate, they
smoke
do
light green,
and then they and then they smoke Newports when they're like
when they're conversating.
Yeah.
Steve, do you like the part about the poisonous semen?
Sorry, I was taking a drink of water.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Poisonous semen?
Mm-hmm. Ouija boards and all kinds of little demons being sent into this world from my poisonous semen.
Yeah. No, that's
right.
not a sex song.
That's monoxide, yeah.
He's an onanist.
He's got to sow his oats.
Yeah.
I think that one's kind of interesting because he basically says, like, if you believe these things that I'm saying right now, you've been fooled again. To end the song that way of like, where, you should always second guess. We're telling you should always don't listen. You should second guess everything you hear. And then he goes on this really kind of more edgy or whatever about how he's super evil and all of that. And so he just kind of throw it in your face. So like, if you believe, you failed the test. If you believe me now, you weren't listening. You weren't paying attention. I think that's cool.
Says, if you believe in anything you heard I just said, then before the song is over, everybody will be dead.
Yeah. It's a good song about fake news.
Yeah.
Definitely the best track this week. Not a high bar. It's kind of a low bar.
Yeah. It was my second favorite track this week.
I can't wait to go back and listen to that other one again. I can't believe you like it, man. I mean, that was astonishing what you said.
Good.
Really made this whole
rules.
episode hearing you talking about it, honestly.
Yeah. It fucking rules. Glad you guys hated it so much.
made it even better.
Yeah. Well, because Steve ugged when I was teeing it up. And I was like, oh, I'll let these guys air it out.
I felt bad because I thought I was going to be the only one. I felt like I've been so negative this week and last week. So sorry, everybody.
I'm making up for everybody's negativity.
Right.
My positivity.
I appreciate it so much.
Like when I first listened to the first, I still got 5 tracks to go. I don't know what the fuck the future has in store for me, but like, as I said, first time I heard Get Off of Me, I was like, oh no, oh please God, no. And on track 10, I'm like, the best Twisted album of all time. So we'll see. It could fall off a cliff because if there's more stuff like tracks 6, 7, 8 in the last third, then I rescind my praise. But anyway,
there's some good stuff coming up.
Good. Well, next week we're going to be talking about the final 5: Respirator, Triple Threat, Mannequin, okay, Starve Your Fear, and Note to Self. So yeah, we'll be talking about those on our special Christmas episode. Drops on Christmas Eve. It's a present from us to you. Thanks to everybody for listening. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, guys. This has been a fun 2 weeks to talk about weird music. Yeah. Email us at dimcarnival@gmail.com. Tell me how wrong I am about choruses. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Dim Carnival. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to that channel. And leave us a review on iTunes, and maybe we'll read some of those reviews on the podcast here. So yeah, good stuff. Maybe next year, guys, we'll have some new merch that we can make available to people. I don't know, just tossing that out there. Probably not. But anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. Until next week, I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Ryan.
And guys, who am I? It's really good stuff. Good. But I'm saying, like, what I'm saying, Steve, is like if a beautiful partner's beautiful foot happened to touch your privates, you wouldn't be like, yeah, and slap it away.
Get off me, dog.
Yeah, okay, I guess so.
If they wiggled their little painted tootsies.
Twinkle your toes.
I don't know, like, feet are like tools. Be like, man, that's a badass hammer. It's just a fucking hammer. It's just feet. You walk on them. You just fucking stand on them. What the hell? Fade out. What the hell?
What they say is that the feet are the windows to the legs.